Good afternoon, everybody.
That's nice and loud. That's good.
Monday, March 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. and I'll call to order the Freetown Board of Select meeting. This meeting will be available, is obviously live and is also on Zoom. And because of that, I have to read the Governor Baker's order here. So the meeting will be available for in-person attendance and on Zoom on July 16th, 2022. Governor Baker signed into law an act relative to extending certain state of emergency accommodations, which, among other things, extend the expiration of the provisions pertaining to the open meeting law to March 31st, 2023. Specifically, this extension allows public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the public body physically present at a meeting location and to provide adequate alternative access to remote meetings. This meeting of the Freetown Board of Selectmen will be conducted in person as well as via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public can be found at the Town of Freetown's website, freetownma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so the following manner: download Zoom and entering the meeting ID below, calling the number listed below and entering the meeting ID listed below, or by going to the website and entering the meeting ID listed below. Although in-person attendance is available for this meeting, every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website and YouTube channel an audio or video recording transcript or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay. So we have a Board of Health hearing. This is regarding the resumption of the Board of Health hearing for the housing complaint on 41 Locust Street. So we're actually going to, it looks like we're going to continue this due to illness. We have multiple folks who are ill who wanted to attend. So the tentative date we're working on right now is 3/28 at 6:30 p.m. At the police station, and it'll also be available on Zoom. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to continue this hearing to 3/28 at 6:30 p.m. at the police station, as well as on Zoom.
So called.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Because you're hybrid, I think it would be best if you did a roll call vote.
Yep.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So that meeting now been continued. We'll move on to our regularly scheduled items. Sorry for that.
No, and I know this isn't on the agenda, but you did ask relative to some other housing complaints. In general, it looks like more recently it's complaints relative to people living in campers or trailers.
Okay.
Getting a few of those, and they're being addressed. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
All right.
Thanks again, folks.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Agenda item 2. This is executive session minutes from 3/10/2023. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve but not release the executive session minutes from 3/10/2023.
Motion made.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. Now we have open session minutes. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the open session minutes from 3/8/2023 and 3/10/2023.
Motion made.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right. Agenda item 4, we have the traffic pattern and road closures for the 3rd of July fireworks and the 4th of July parade.
All right.
Take a look at that.
Be a good day. Good couple days.
So, yep. Any kind of concerns anyone has about that specific traffic pattern? It looks similar to what I've seen in the past, but is there anything?
So, Mr. Chairman, we've used that pattern for many, many years.
Okay,
I think
great.
that's the most efficient pattern to use.
All right, that makes sense to me.
Police and fire both in the loop, so it's
Yep. Just trying to pull up. Of course, right before the meeting, my computer had to do a mandatory restart. So I had the packet up and then it went away. Okay, great.
Yeah, basically straightforward. It's Hathaway Park for the fireworks, and then also from the KR field down to Hathaway Park, going down North and South Main Street. So standard from the previous years. Like the chief said, the most efficient route possible. Thousands of people attend. It's a beautiful day.
All right, beautiful. All right, cool. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the the traffic pattern and road closures for the 3rd of July fireworks and 4th of July parade.
I probably make that second motion.
Motion. Yeah, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right. Next is the exclusive use of Hathaway Park and the bandstand for the parade and fireworks. So, sorry, just get caught up here. Can we speak a little bit, Debbie, on this for the exclusive use?
It's just so that everybody's on notice that, no, we can't have other people just going to use the park. It's open to the public. But on these days, we're going to use it for the
Okay.
fireworks.
That's what I thought it meant. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't misinterpreting that. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't want a softball game going on while we're trying to set up for fireworks or a parade at the same time.
Absolutely. That makes sense to me. All right. Any other comments or concerns about this?
I mean, I think this is probably what's standard too in the past.
I mean, people could sit at the bandstand and watch the fireworks from there if they chose.
Right.
And
it's
the
not-
green area,
It's just that we don't want people to, decide to go and set up.
right, to do an event, but they could, they
right.
could still use it.
Right. The public
'cause
can
a lot of
still use
people-
it to watch the fireworks
Yeah,
and
but-
enjoy the events. Sure.
Yeah.
We just want some clear lines. They can use it, absolutely, but primary use is going to be for, if needed, for the fireworks and the parade. And of course, they're more than welcome to sit down and use it to their pleasure. Absolutely. So it's open to the public to that extent.
All right. Great. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the exclusive use of Hathaway Park and the bandstand for the parade and fireworks.
Motion made?
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right, now we have a bypass agreement between the town of Freetown and Stop and Shop to utilize the bypass road on Narrows Road for the parade lineup.
Yeah, this is standard again throughout the years. They have that little cutoff past Narrows Road, next right. It's where the trucks and the routes begin. They start lining up. There's some Jersey barriers in that area, and also a little fence that Stop and Shop technically is their property as we turn into it. So we want to make sure we're being good neighbors to them and vice versa to be able to use that property.
Makes sense to me. Any other questions or concerns? No? All right, with that, I'll enter a motion to approve the bypass agreement between the town of Freetown and Stop and Shop to utilize the bypass road on Narrows Road for the parade lineup.
Motion made?
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. Moving on, agenda item 7. This is vote to whether to establish a revolving fund for the Council on Aging to assist in funding activities and trips for seniors. Okay. So,
This is just a discussion because a warrant article will need to be drafted to go to town meeting, so requires town meeting vote. But basically, we have a community program director starting, and if he wants to, have programs where he hires a bus and takes the seniors somewhere, or the youth, or whatever programming he's looking at, he's got no funds to really work with. This would set up a revolving fund, which would mean we'd put funds in, vote to put funds in there, and that he could spend the money out of there and collect, people would be paying for their trip, but
it's just kind of to front the money,
front the money, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, part of me almost wants to also, it may be that it costs $35 for the trip, but we give it to the seniors, say, for $25. So we are funding a portion of it.
Yeah.
But the money would be coming in and out. But without any funding, it would be difficult to set up programming because those things will need to be paid for in advance.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
I didn't have a necessarily a number. I just kind of wanted to have a discussion with the board to see what they thought would make sense so that this job would have some flexibility in what to do with the seniors and the even youth groups or whatever different activities they may want to come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea. I like if we're going to put a community director to help assist with getting things out there, it makes sense that they would have some type of funding available. The scope of it, I think we need to get a little bit more in depth and so we know what we're talking about. But yeah,
Yeah.
town warrant would probably.
It gives them a
next step.
vehicle to collect the money too and a place to put it.
Well, that's what I was thinking for like, if you know, they want to accept donations, right? Say hypothetically, a business in town wanted to give a donation to the COA, you know, this is an easy place. They can put it in there for kind of a general use that can be used at discretion, right? Of the COA for activities.
Donations are just generally at the discretion of the select board usually approves the spending plan for the donations
Yeah.
for anything. So I don't know that I'd want to put the revolving fund, donations in the revolving fund.
Okay.
They probably have donation accounts and they do have donations.
Okay,
accounts
because I know
for COA.
they've accepted donations. I mean, we see
Yeah.
that all the time, right?
This would be, like I said, more of an in and an out type of thing, things that we have to prepay for. He'd have the money
Yeah.
to do that and then collect money from people. And, you know, just sort of a vehicle to collect the money from the revenues from ticket sales, say. He can put it back into this account and just keep it revolving.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
So that was all. Just, is it
Do
something
we,
that?
do we have to come up with a number now?
No, unless you have a number.
I don't, I'd have to, yeah, I don't really think I have enough information to come up with like
I
a,
think that more information. Let's look at the budgets coming up in the next few weeks, and
Yeah, we're still fine tuning the budget, so you'll be seeing some of those numbers soon.
yeah. I mean, I'm thinking like at least start like a couple $1,000s is what I was thinking, but
And I was thinking a little more, so.
okay, yeah.
So-
I mean, yeah. So that's, yeah, let's talk about it once you get some more information.
All right, like I said, I just wanted to see if that was something the board wanted.
No, I think that's a great idea.
Okay,
All right, great. So, I mean, do we want to vote on it now to establish a revolving
Yes.
fund pending, you know? So,
the amounts to be determined.
yeah, all right. So I'll entertain a motion to establish a revolving fund for the Council on Aging to assist in funding activities, trips and / trips for seniors with the amounts to be determined at a future date.
motion made.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right, so this is discussion on whether to put an article in the town meeting warrant to allow the Board of Selectmen or their designates to set the rates for weights and measurement to recoup fees associated with the service. I did see the fees went up substantially.
Yeah.
Right,
They
when-
were $4,000 up until July 1st of this year. They're going to go to $6,226. And currently, we're not billing any of the towns, any of the people that use those services. The state provides the services for us, but this would allow us to charge those fees,
Yeah, that makes a
try
lot
to
of sense. To me.
offset some or all of that.
And how many people do we have per year using this? Do we have a number?
I know that we have a spreadsheet at the office, but
I'm just trying to gauge the impact. Is this a community-wide thing, or is it just a handful of individuals?
it's any of the businesses that have scales
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
or like fuel
Or-
pumps, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I was thinking fuel pumps, right?
fuel pumps,
So I know
gift
Lola was working on
aggregates.
kind of like trying
so-
to massage the numbers to try to make it so that it will come out, that
Okay.
it would cover it.
Yeah.
But it has to go to town meeting in order to make the fees changed.
All right, that makes sense to me. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to put an article on the town meeting warrant to allow the Board of Selectmen or the designee to set rates for weight and measures to recoup fees associated with the service.
Motion made.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right. Now we have the Mattapoisett Land Trust charity bike event, the Tour de Creme, on Sunday, May 21st, 2023. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's like it sounded pretty good. It sounded official.
Sounded very French.
I am half French Canadian. I
There
don't
you
know
go.
if that counts. Yeah. Okay. So this is a bike ride, not a race.
Right.
And they're just looking to come through Freetown. Chief, do you have any concerns with this?
They've done it in the past,
Okay.
incident free.
Great. All right. I support bike rides and races. Add that. Any concerns from you?
No, this is a great event.
All right. It's quite a long ride.
It's not for me. I'll watch it from the sidelines or driving behind them.
Yeah. All right. Great. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Mattapoisett Land Trust charity bike ride Tour de Creme on Sunday, May 21st, 2023.
Second. I'm sorry. Motion made.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right. I read this and I might need someone to explain this next one to me a little more. So this is whether approve or sign the determination and consent form from KP Law disclosing their multiple representation disclosure for the South Coast Public Health Collaborative Intermunicipal Agreement. So can I explain what I think I know? And then you can tell me if I'm wrong. So KP Law is going to represent Westport as well as Freetown. And so there potentially could be a conflict of interest there. And this is us kind of waiving our concerns that there is conflict of interest.
Right. And it has to do with the, I think that's too bad Kevin left, the grant for the Public Health Collaborative where we've got a grant and all these towns are included in it. Westport, Marion, Mattapoisett, Lakeville, and Freetown. And so they want to represent this collaborative. And so it is a conflict with the town of Freetown, and they need you to sign off on this saying that you don't have an issue with that conflict.
Yeah. And I don't think I do, but I've always kind of thought of this because since like a firm like KP Law who represents every single town, when there's two towns suing each other, I can see that being, becoming an issue.
Where we run into issues is with the school.
Yeah.
Because they represent KP Law. They represent Lakeville.
Yeah.
So when there is an issue with the school of Freetown, say, versus Lakeville in the agreement, that becomes an issue. They won't represent us.
Yeah.
So but
Okay.
this shouldn't be, this isn't a big thing. This is a grant, it's a good thing, and all these towns are participating. I can't foresee, although whoever foresees the issues, but
Yeah. But it's also specific to this kind of,
yeah.
it's not like a broad kind of
No.
thing we're signing here, right?
Nope.
Any
Yeah. No
concerns? All right. With that, so I'll entertain a motion to approve and sign the determination and consent form from KP Law disclosing their multiple representation disclosure for the South Coast Public Health Collaborative Intermunicipal Agreement.
Motion made?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right, agenda item 11. This is whether to accept a $100 donation to the Council on Aging. We were just talking about that a couple minutes ago.
That's right.
Not into the revolving fund, put it that way.
No.
And is it an anonymous donation, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the $100 donation to the Council on Aging.
Motion made?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right, this is going to be an interesting one. So agenda item 12 is vote on the conditions and the next steps for 4 South Main Street. And I saw some of the information we had.
Good job.
So yeah, we're all aware that 4 South Main Street is in ill repair. It's beginning to deteriorate at a faster pace.
Deb, could you
And-
speak up?
Sure. 4 South Main Street is in ill repair. We know there's a hole in the roof and part of the building has collapsed. And it's becoming, it could becoming imminent that we do something with the building. We have to do something. So I just thought it best to have a discussion. I know we've talked about possibly putting it on the market. I've talked to Mary Brown regarding this, and she's requested possibly a deed restriction to make sure whatever's built there or put back there looks similar to what's there. I've talked to town council regarding that, and they said I need to go to town meeting to get a deed restriction. So it's something that I'd like to know so that we can get this on the next town meeting if that's the way the board wishes to move forward with it. And we invited them here to have this discussion tonight, the Historical Commission. So just so we all are on the same page of how we're going to move forward with this building.
Yeah, so that's interesting that we have to go to town meeting for a deed restriction.
Yeah, and I don't want to go against town council, but I'm not sure that I agree with him, but it's easy enough to do since we're at town meeting. We're at that point where we're working on the warrant, right?
Yeah, Mary, what are your thoughts on this? I'm
Okay,
curious.
so I think when you were just new as selectman, I came and I had a talk with you. And it once, that lot next door was cleaned out. It really is evident what's going on. And a few people have said to me, why doesn't the town do something? And why doesn't the town put a tarp over that hole? And we had a hole that big in the schoolhouse before we got the emergency grant. So we did have to put a tarp on there. And there was a lot of damage inside because of the water. And there is there. And the last time I was in there, which was quick because I didn't know what else was in there with me, when we had the two people who were very interested in it. I've talked to people in other communities who are preservationists, and their first recommendation, I said, the town has had it for 20 plus years, not receiving any money from it. And now to tear it down, it's going to cost money for the town. It's going to cost a lot. And they said you should consider selling it first and doing a request for proposal. And with that, whoever purchased it, we could do a preservation restriction. And the preservation restriction, we have preservation restrictions in the town already, and we did not go through the town meeting to do them. It was the Board of Selectmen. And it was done in collaboration, with the state because of a grant and also because the buildings were on the National Register. We have a demolition delay bylaw in place, and so for it to be demolished would have to come through us anyway. I think that would be our best option because if someone purchased it, then they would be paying, and then we'd eventually get taxes from them, and it wouldn't be as expensive. There have been many people interested, and the last people that were interested were people from, Full Circle, and they were interested in purchasing the land next door or the building next door. That was the only way they wanted to purchase it. But they went through it, and they were in there for quite a while. They're brave. So they were, and another time, and Barry French reminded me just this week about the last time we came to this Board of Selectmen. There was someone that was very, very interested in that time. I understand by law that there has to be an effort to recoup the back taxes, I thought, in the sale price.
I see, if that by law, because I do not see that happening.
I'm not sure that's by
honest.
law, but we've owned that property for, I believe it's 30 years. And at this point, to sell it would actually be, I think, a prudent measure because otherwise we are going to have to take it down, and it's going to fall down, and that's going to cause greater grief.
There was a preservationist that told me that. So they said, but there is flexibility in doing that. There is flexibility.
I can vet that. I mean, I can find out, but I think it's in the best interest of the town to sell it so that now somebody else will have to shore it up.
And basically, when we're talking about a restriction, all we're concerned about is the veneer of the building, the outside.
Front elevation.
And keeping it so it goes with everything else. I mean, we've lost so much in that, in the Four Corners.
Yeah.
And there's always something on Facebook about the Four Corners or pictures that I don't think a week goes by that there isn't something or some historic building. And then people reminiscing and having the bandstand and having the village store now being utilized. It's wonderful that it's coming alive.
Yep.
And to have more things happen. So that would be, I'm sorry, this is Travis Bowie and Jackie Prochowski, who are members, and we have two other members who were unable to attend. But we feel that would be an option. That would be a good option. We'd like to try that first.
I like that. So let me kind of think this through a little bit. So we could auction it off, I'm assuming, right?
We could
Or
auction it off, but I think it better would be the RFP process.
Okay.
Yes, I think so
Because we
too.
want to
Okay.
get somebody who,
Because then you can when Fall River did this with some of their old buildings, the people that came in with their proposal talked about what they were going to do with the property.
Right.
And we'd like that, and we'd like the Historic Commission to be involved, with the selectmen, so forth, with that. And, the land next door has been for sale, so we know that. So now that's an option someone can certainly explore as a result.
Yeah. I wish we owned it because then.
Yeah. I mean, we had talked about that.
Yeah, I know.
Trevor,
We tried.
before,
I tried.
remember?
I did my
and,
best.
And he had said that it was an option, and
Yeah.
Yeah, an RFP gives you the control to not necessarily sell it to the lowest bidder, but the best fit for the town, and that's the difference. You can say someone who wants to rehab it and keep it in that similar front elevation is probably more beneficial than someone who just wants to knock it down and build something differently. So,
there are lots of things in town, and as properties change, and there are younger people, with children, that walk down to the park and things like that, and can use the bandstand area. So there are options, and with you doing all the traffic studies for the Four Corners, and that we can create something that we'd all be proud of, and be useful for all, for people, because that is where there are sidewalks. That's where people can exercise, walk. I mean, there are a lot of people that do it now, but it would be more. I mean, it's the speed of the traffic that prevents people from going with small children, because you have to hold on to them really tightly. So I really appreciate the fact that, and Debbie and I have talked quite a bit. So it would be really nice to get going on that. And I can gather information from the president of the preservation group in Fall River, who they've done this a lot of times.
okay.
All right.
I agree. If we can save the building and keep the charm that's in that Four Corners, absolutely. So if RFP is the way forward, so we can somehow save it. But let's look at the facts. The inspector told us it's about 2 feet of standing water. 80% of it's pretty much deteriorated from either raccoons, squirrels, or termites. So the person coming into it is gonna be doing a lot of work. So
They are.
just want to set clear expectations. RFP is the way to go to save it. Yes. What I'm hearing is that doesn't go through. So they'll tell us what they're going to do with it. Museum, restore it to its original glory. Great. What if they can't get the property next door? That's my concern. At the end of the day, right? So if they can't do anything, they can't put a bathroom in it, there's no parking for it, there's always got to be a plan B down the road.
I think it's last year's, I think was when it was the real estate office. I think that was probably the last time that was used. But growing up, there was always a family that lived upstairs. And I think during my brother's age, there were two families. It was a two-family. So it's hard to imagine, but I mean, people didn't have as many automobiles. They parked in, right across the street. The post office was right there.
Sure.
Then it was a market, and it's been, always several things. So,
Yeah,
so
I've
it'll be
enjoyed
good.
watching the photos come up online, and it's a beautiful area. So
I mean, I think if the thought process might be to try the RFP, try to sell it to somebody who's interested in the preservation. You have the preservation restriction or the deed restriction on it, so they're restricted in what they can do. If that doesn't work, then we regroup. But now's the time to make those decisions, just because if I do need to go to town meeting, we're there.
Yeah, I
We
agree.
can do that at this next town meeting.
So is the vote we need here is just to, just vote for, moving forward with the RFP approach?
If that's what the board is
Yeah.
doing,
I think
that's
that's-
fine with me. And if that doesn't
be
work, we regroup.
So it looks like we've had it actually since, I think, 92,
Yeah, 30 years.
30 years. That's
30 years.
wow, some trees have grown around it, but it's still there.
It's a long time, and I just don't want it to get to a point where it's an emergency,
Yeah. Okay.
because that's
And it
expensive.
was also suggested that if you do go to put it out, there are definite venues that you'd want to that people would be of interest. So
Okay, that
I'll
makes
find
sense.
that to
Where
them.
where we list it kind of and where we put that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll be looking for some information as we move forward, so all the assistance that you can provide.
And we're making an effort, and so you can't tell what will happen. It's nice to go this route first,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. This is, absolutely
and
agree.
it's more cost effective too.
Absolutely. I totally agree. This is like, even before I think I talked to you, I had the same exact kind of opinion on it. It's all this legal stuff we got to figure out.
Yeah, and
It's-
I'll
it's
get all of
jumping
that
through those
done.
hoops.
I've got time before town meeting, which is sort of why I wanted to just know that this was the way we were going to move forward. And I will do my homework, and I will ask you for some assistance in getting some resources to get more information.
But just in fairness, just in case, if the inspector, our building commissioner comes to us and says, hey, this building has slipped off the foundations, imminent collapse, we'll have to move forward pretty fast as far as
Yeah, I know that.
remediation. So
Yeah.
we agree with the RFP, but emergencies need to be fixed first. So that comes up. So you're aware would be our next logical step forward. Of course, we'd consult with you and everybody else.
Sure.
So
I understand. Yeah,
legalities and everything.
All right.
ability and so forth.
All right, great. So I'm going to call a vote. Everyone good?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to take a motion to move forward with an RFP approach for 4 South Main Street, where there are preservation restrictions as a part of that. I don't know what to say there. RFP
Preservation restriction on
Yeah.
the building.
On the deed, like on the
on the
deed
deed.
itself.
Yeah. So do I have a
Motion made?
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. Thank you. All right, moving on. So now, agenda item 13 is discussion regarding the future use of the old schoolhouse building on 5 North Main Street.
So this past year, we get a grant to paint the building, scrape the lead paint off, and repaint the building of the exterior building. The roof had been done in previous years and is weather tight. The windows have been reglazed, the majority of them. There's a couple that need to be done. And we got a grant to paint the building. We had put some money in the budget to paint the building, but we now have that money there that we'd like to allocate to repoint the foundation. Once that's done, the building is weather tight. And there's nothing more that can be done to that building until it's determined what its ultimate use is going to be. In other words, we can't frame interior walls, put electrical in there, plumbing, or anything until a decision is made on what's going to be in that building. And I'm not expecting that decision to be made tonight, but the discussion just needs to be had, maybe hashed around so the ideas can come about of what possibly could be put in that building. Keeping in mind, I mean, we're desperate for space in the town hall, but there's no easy access, no ADA access to that building.
That's what I was problem. And as soon as we start making improvements to it, right,
that clause.
then it's going to trigger, unless we get some kind of waiver, but it's going to trigger us needing to bring everything up to ADA code, right?
Yeah. So there's it's the conundrum, right? Do we put offices that are not customer facing, so that they don't need the ADA access? I'm not sure. We do have town water there. I do believe we could probably tie into the existing septic system over, either at the town hall, or we could put a septic system. I actually have talked to the health agent. We could put, possibly there's enough room in the back to put a septic system in there. So we could put plumbing and a bathroom in the building.
Yeah, because it doesn't have it. I have not actually been in that building.
There's no bathroom. That building was built, when was it built, Mary?
Records in there, that's about it.
There's no.
It's never been, and, well, it was used until 1950, when the elementary school was built. And they had an outhouse. And my brothers were lucky, we lived close enough. The house was- I didn't attend the village school, but people have all kinds of fun stories that's connected with it. And I do have things that people have sent me through the years. In fact, I was going through that folder today of pictures and things that had happened, and so that'd be fun. When the roof was leaking and there was a big hole in it and so forth, we were able to get a grant from Mass Historic, and we had an architect that we worked with, it had to be an architect that was approved by the Mass Historic, so some with his background in preservation. And the roof was completely, redone, and new trusses and so forth. There were trusses; they didn't have trusses then, and some of the foundation. The fact that what at that time we were talking about, because future use could be a connection to the town hall. He did a very basic rendering of it, and with the connection would be an elevator there, so that from the town hall it would serve, the second floor would be served by that elevator, and that would be the second floor of the village school and the town hall, and in that area where people park right now. So that I meant to bring it, but that's something you can think about. But he was very, I have to say, he was very good, and we met every week as we were going through that procedure. So that was just to really get it tight, because it was leaking. It was leaking really badly, and it destroyed the floor in the south room. So it was with the really vision of, if we ever had to renovate the town hall, get that done first, and then move people over there, and then and then there'd be some would move back, and it would create space. There is parking issues, and I think there's some ideas that could happen, with property in town. So that would be possible. But
I was at the old church this past Saturday for an event for the Rainbow Workshop, and when I was on stage by accident, saying jokes to everybody, I had to fill in 10 minutes. I looked out the window, and I did see the backyard behind the schoolhouse. I'm going, we could use that for something. So I'd be interested to see or hear your thoughts on that. No, it looks like probably 20 by 20, maybe less.
We don't have a right of way through that. It says School Street, but we don't. That's private property. So the church used to use that, and so did the schoolhouse. And what happened when the former owners, not these, they let people park there, but then people would block it, and the person who lived there was a pharmacist and would have to get to the pharmacy, and it was very frustrating. So eventually he bought it, and people couldn't park there. But that, there's possibility of negotiations and so forth. There's a little bit of space there.
You're right, because one of the biggest concerns we have, right from this past summer, trying to purchase that's a corner lot, is parking. So in my head, and I'm going, all right, we're going to expand. I've seen the renderings combine the two. Looks beautiful. It would keep that historic charm in that district. Same time, I look at it going, where we put all these additional bodies, which is great, but then all the people visiting those offices and bodies, we have a bigger problem we have now. But again, no decisions to be made today. This is just kind of, we're just discussing.
And if we rethink the four corners and traffic restrictions and slowing down the traffic, then the possibility of parking in front of the bandstand. I mean, it's very hard for people to get across the street, and the way it is right now. And I think, those stop sign lighted have been a big change in slowing down traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always
Nature
amazed how
jet.
fast people fly through there. Whenever I'm at town hall, I can just hear the cars flying. It's like,
We hear the brakes. We hear brakes all day long, and horns and brakes. Yeah. Just in light of that, we've got Serpa did a traffic study on the four corners, and came back pretty much and said, we need to do a little more engineering. And we also had a Complete Streets grant, and they looked at that intersection and said the same thing. We need to do some more engineering. So you are going to see I got quotes from both, or I had Victoria from planning get quotes, and they will be proposing a warrant article to pay for engineering to continue to look at the four corners and what we ultimately are going to do as a town to, help with some of those issues, because they're not going to get better with the MBTA station coming in. So we are moving forward with trying to come up with a solution that will be, the town will be happy with, but will solve some of our traffic issues there. And I don't know what that looks like just yet. There's been different proposals. Traffic lights and roundabouts, and they all have pros and cons to them. So we're going to let them do some more engineering and then come back before the board and figure that out.
I was in Kensington last week in New Hampshire, and they have their churches in their town hall in this similar situation, and there's a curve, and so it's even more difficult trying to get across the street, and the parking lot is across the street, so it's really dangerous. And they had a night meeting, and there were any lights. So lots of small towns that evolved before cars have this situation. So I know you're working on it, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, we are working on it.
Yeah, so I don't think any decisions are going to be made tonight, kind of
No.
future use, but yeah, I'm looking for suggestions from anybody, right? Because it's a tough situation.
Usually I have an idea, but I don't with this one. So that's why I'm putting it out there. But I don't know. It's not imminent. There's nothing we have to do today with that building, but it's also a building that, we're paying for. I'd like to see it to be used, or at least have a plan to move forward. I always like to just keep things moving forward. So my thought has always been, well, each year we'll do one more piece of this, right? Last year we did the painting, and this year I hope to do the foundation repointing. But next year, what do we do? And like I said, we're sort of stuck until we know what direction we're going to go in.
Yeah, I think it'd be like if it was like a COA type annex or something of that nature, but it's an ADA compliance thing, right? It's no matter what we.
Well, we could
use
look
it
into
for.
adding, I have looked at the building to determine if an elevator could be put off to the side and access. So it does look like where the door is on the left-hand side down below, that we could add an elevator there and get access to the second floor. I mean, at some point we could look at the cost of that and whether it makes sense or not.
Like in just meeting rooms in general, right? If we just had like places that people in town could, just like this room here, could rent out and meet, I don't expect it to be as high tech as this room, but
No, we don't have scouts. We had scouts there, and
Yeah, exactly.
The back door and the stairway is gone, so that to do anything there, you need to have a second exit.
Yeah.
Right.
And the
want
stairs
to
from upstairs
egress.
to go downstairs also, when they cemented the floor.
So those I think what we talked about putting those back in because we need them, but.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of work. I don't even know where it would start, right? But there's definitely a lot of work there. But it's a beautiful building. It's a shame we're not using it, and we should try to figure out what we can do and hopefully get some.
And
state
the
money
original
to it.
part is 1794. So
1794.
So I could look into the cost of an elevator and see where, just get a preliminary cost of that. And that might be some information that would be useful.
Can I throw it out there, Mary, just get your opinion? What if we sold that building and turned it and someone built a museum in it? Would that be something the Historical Society? What if we put it out RFP for that building as well and turn it into a museum? I'm just
it's a possible.
I'm just thinking out loud, and maybe other people are thinking the same thing. And we love it. We also want to see it being used.
I wouldn't want to see it sold. I think it should stay in the but it could be used. And I mean, if the town's not going to use it for, more room for the town hall and so forth, it could be rented.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rent it out.
And once it's made, once it's plumbing and so forth, so that because it's really important it's really a great honor to have 2 historic districts on the National Register, and the fact that we had over 200 buildings and structures that are listed is a big plus. And people drive through and always talk about, the scenic river and the historic bridges and the historic buildings and churches and so forth. And so we don't want to lose any of those. And if we ever did, I mean, even to rent it, there'd be restrictions on the should be restrictions on the exterior, and there are restrictions already on that schoolhouse. So,
Yeah, well, my point, I guess, is I want to see it used for something. Instead of just sitting there as a building, I would love to see children's laughter go running through those halls again. I'd love to see some lights on at night from people using it. And that's where I get to. And if that's renting it, leasing it to somebody, giving it life versus kind of sitting there and not decaying, 'cause we fixed it, looks good. But I want to see it do something,
well,
You must agree with that.
We do too. And,
Yeah.
and the thing is, during my childhood, it was, and during Jackie's too, it was utilized. After they built the elementary school, it was used by the civil defense in the basement, different groups, and actually the Arts Council had the room on the north side, and I was part of the Arts Council then, and we got furniture and we had art classes there. Now this is without restrooms. Okay, so
And that's where the
you
issue
can
is.
adapt. But without running water. I mean, we had workshops there.
So
I had Girl
definitely,
Scouts.
The floors were sanded in that room, and we got interior storm windows, painted it, and it was fixed up. I mean, it looks terrible now, but so it was being used by the community, and lots of people had their meetings there. Civil defense,
Girl Scouts. and
yeah, don't
Brownies
you
were
remember?
there,
Yeah,
That's where I went.
committees from town. I mean, now we have this nice building, but yeah, so that.
yeah. So there's room for discussion there. Limited room for discussion.
Yeah, we wanted.
So-
I'd like to see the Four Corners. I think we all would like to see it active
We agree.
Mm-hmm.
where it was. I mean, similar. So, thank you,
right.
all of you,
Thank you very much. That was
and what an improvement on your system, being able to visually see and all these.
Yeah.
Luann, did you do you doing a lot of work on that? I know you talked to
Debbie.
yeah, Debbie. Well, great job.
Oh, yeah, no, I just had the guy come in and wire it all. I don't know how to run any of it. I can't help you. That's
We're still figuring it
Luann
out.
and
I think
Lola.
only thing it would be good if the agenda was posted while we're talking, so we don't know where we are.
Yeah.
It might be. We just don't know yet. Well, as far as people up here, he might be doing some magic in the background, and it's floating in space while we're talking.
Yeah, but I mean,
I think, yeah, I know what you're saying. So, like, on this screen, if we could have the agenda posted, that's a good idea.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I like
we could
that.
probably do
And it will save paper. We could just hand them out, right? But it would save paper if we could just post them up there. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Agenda item 14. So now these two additional properties,
Yes.
not Preservation Society. or anything.
Preservation and
Historical
conservation.
properties.
0 Crapo Road and 0 Prague and Reynolds Land.
Yeah, so this is another piece of property that we've owned for 30 years, nearly 30
Yep.
years, 27 years. That came to my attention because a letter was sent asking if we were interested in selling it or leasing it, and I didn't even know we owned it. So you have a copy of that letter. So I poked around.
Where is it?
It's
Like
off
Crapo,
of-
it's got to be up near the landfill, right?
Yeah, it's off of like Braley Road, I believe.
Okay,
It
yeah.
has no frontage. It really has no frontage whatsoever. So it's not a super valuable piece of property, although it may be I believe there's solar farms going on each side of it. So one of them might be looking to lease it to add to their solar farm. A portion of it may be wetlands. So I did send Luann sent it to all the departments saying, hey, does anybody
Want this?
I think this is important. we didn't get any response to that, but I will say that Jared had called me. He's not here tonight, but he said, think about it. And the chief is here that, hey, if we ever needed to put a tower in East Freetown, would this location work? Because it's a big piece of land. There is no frontage and no way to get to it. So one of the thoughts I had was, well, if we do lease it or sell it to somebody or a portion of it, that we swap a right of way to it for that. But it was more of just to make you guys aware we own this. We haven't been collecting taxes for nearly 30 years. And I don't think there's any benefit to hang on to it.
What are these buildings? What are these lots across the street? Are they businesses or are they homes? 13 to
Well, I think so. Like you're seeing, like
48,
there's a
46.
tire dump,
Right. So,
Tire dump,
and then I
yeah,
think that the only road I think is actually like more to the right.
yeah.
So I think that 30 is must be like a gas
I
line
think
or
it's
something.
it might be the railroad tracks.
Railroad tracks. Yeah, that looks like. So I thought that was a road at first too, but that's not a road.
so it's twist the other way around.
So the road's like where it says heat transfer.
Okay.
To the right of
Oh,
that.
right there, okay.
That's the road rolling all. So these are landlocked.
Yeah, there's no frontage to this. You can't get to it. But like, I'm not sure, but say parcel 1 is showing a solar farm and maybe parcel 7 is doing a solar farm.
I figured that's the only reason why
Yeah.
someone would want it, but you never know.
So I didn't know. I mean, I'm willing to pursue things. I
I think we should definitely pursue it. I mean, my opinion is, I don't know what you say, like,
agree
if
with
we're
you.
just sitting there and not getting taxes on it, we can turn this into a taxable land. Like, you know, there's whatever they want to do with it's going to have to go through planning and everything else anyways.
right.
Conservation.
But I guess the question is,
Chief, you have anything to say?
I don't
and
think we can alienate land in the Commonwealth, so there may be an easement by necessity.
That's interesting.
you'd have to get an easement and then you would have to cross the railroad tracks, which is more difficult than you think because I've tried it. They don't like you to cross them with vehicle traffic.
Understandable.
Yeah, less things over the train tracks are my
So
preferred
what would
method.
you be inclined to lease it or sell it? And either way, I think we'd have to probably do an RFP, a procurement to sell it. In other words, same thing.
Yeah. Do we want to be in the business of leasing land? I guess. is the
I
question.
I don't think so, but I wanted to ask the board that.
My gut says sell it.
If we get for the assessed value, that
I'd be surprised if we do. You never know.
right. So that's the question. If we get for the assessed value, that would be worth our time. Then, or do we look at the other option, leasing it to the solar company, and then make that same money, and then had more return on investment down the road? But again, I hear what you said. I don't want to be a landlord to a.
Well, if that's the other thing. Like, right, what happens when there's if there's a solar fields there, and then we get neighbors complain about solar, and then we're the landlord to the solar field, right? It gets messy.
Yeah.
Well, I can reach out to these people, but also, like I said, we have to do procurement, but I could certainly reach out and say,
Yeah, I think so. That's the first step, I think, right? And do we need to vote on that, or should we just?
do you want to just vote to allow me to pursue selling or leasing the land?
So,
and
yeah,
I agree with
that makes sense. I'll entertain a motion to give Debbie the permission to pursue selling 0 Crapo land and 0 Sprague and Reynolds land.
Motion made.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right. Now we have open meeting law complaints. So we received 2 of them on March 10th, 2023. I'm acknowledging the receipt of those complaints. I guess I'll read the complaints so that they're clear. So on the Freetown Board of Selectmen violated the open meeting law by holding a virtual meeting that did not provide a way for the general public to log in and observe the meeting in real time. This was a situation when we kind of had, because I was sick, I think was that day, we had to do a meeting. I had to do it via Zoom, and there wasn't a way for folks to log in on that. And then the next one, which I think is kind of related, was the Freetown Board of Selectmen violated the open meeting law by holding a legal executive session in that the board entered executive session under Section 21A2 and did not list the name or title of the non-union personnel to be discussed as required by the open meeting law. Chairman Matthews also did not disclose the name or title when entering executive session, and the meeting can be viewed at, and he provided the website. Yeah, I think that was just a mistake by me, right? I just don't.
We did not.
No, we
list
didn't put it on
the
the
We didn't
agenda.
put- oh, it wasn't on the minutes, and then I obviously didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just reading what they were, but okay. So I think we understand what the issues are, and obviously taking action to resolve those, including redoing the meeting, right? And then so then the next part of this is just authorizing submission of the response by town council. So with that, so I'll entertain a motion to acknowledge receipt and authorize submission of response by town council to the open meeting law complaints submitted on March 10, 2023.
Motion made?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right. Agenda item 16, it looks like that's been taken off the board.
Yes, Mr. Bizarro has been very successful with getting donations
Awesome.
to run his Earth Day, and it seems like it's going to be quite the event and pretty successful. So he's quite excited about it. I think we're all sort of excited about it.
That's great.
Yeah, great response from the town so far.
So you'll be getting the donations probably on the next meeting because we just got those.
We've accepted a couple already at the Board of
There's
Selectmen.
some
I think we have a
more.
couple more.
That's why we don't need the money from the selectmen.
Yeah. Well, I think that the next one I'm
The next
assuming is
one is
related. Yeah. So next is a donation from Copart in the amount of $750 in support for Earth Day. Thank you, Copart.
Thank you.
So with that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the donation from Copart in the amount of $750 for support of Earth Day.
Motion made?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes.
And just to clarify, the majority of the money is being used to purchase T-shirts,
Yeah.
Correct.
T-shirt, maybe some trash bags or
trash
things
bags
of
and
that nature.
gloves. Yeah.
Things like that.
When I go, I'm getting like some kind of like poker stick.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
my back can handle that.
When we did Innovation Way, the pokers, the police chief gave me the terminology for it. They called, like a better word, P-bombs. The truckers would fill them up while they're.
Oh yeah.
So when you poke them, they tend to
geez.
expand.
I need some kind of like claw.
Correct. Yeah, I
situation.
suggest the claw. That's where my
I'll buy something on Amazon.
just from
I'm gonna
experience.
get the
there.
grabber. I'm gonna get the grabber.
Yep,
Yeah,
get
the grabber.
You can buy them at what's that store next to Home Depot?
Ocean State Job Lot.
Stay Job Lot.
Best
correct.
store in the world.
I agree.
All right. So now next is agenda item 18. It's letter of support for the grant for South Main Street Bridge. And this is it Serped's letter of support?
No, so this is brand new.
Right?
I just typed the letter today. So this is a grant that had a very short turnaround time. It came from Congressman Auchengloss
Okay,
requesting
awesome. Yeah.
earmarks. So not quickly, it took me a few hours, but I put in a grant for the South Main Street Bridge because we all know that that's needs some work. And we started working on it, and I didn't really have expectations of getting the grant, but they sent us an email last Thursday saying, hey, we're looking into your grant application, get us some further information. And one of the things you're looking for is a letter of support from the Board of Selectmen so that you know what I'm doing, because it requires a 25% match from the town. I met with the engineers today and Chuck Macumber. We've been talking about overlaying the bridge like we did on the Elm Street Bridge and other bridges in town, because of course that's a historical bridge. We're not going to replace the bridge, otherwise, would lose its historical designation. So I got a quote today. The quote that I had was $2.5 million originally. I asked for 1.5 from the congressman, and that's what the numbers we're looking at. So the town will still have to pay some of the money, but still much less than what we would have to pay.
That's awesome.
We do have the funds in capital stabilization, so I think it's something we can do. And I met with the engineer today, and it is a tight timeline, so we're going to have to move pretty quickly. We're all prepared to do that. I don't know if we'll actually end up getting the grant. I'm going to just give them the next phase of information.
Well, yeah, but I think what we've learned, like it's you go through this process. If you don't get it, then we're on the shorter list to get the next one, right? It's kind of keeping that.
Right. And I've said this many times, they don't give you big lead times, right? So a lot of these grants is preparing what you need prior to the grant coming out. So if we don't get it this time, we'll work and have more information to apply at the next round, like you said. And honestly, I never expected to get this grant. If you saw, I came in on a Saturday, it was up. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to apply for this grant and see what happens. And
Looks like at least moving in the right direction, right?
right, so I'm excited about it, but we need a letter of support. We did get a letter of support from Representative Schmidt and Representative Fiola.
Okay.
We did get a letter of support from Serped.
That's what I saw that.
You saw that, yeah.
That's where I got a little confused, but that makes
And
a lot of
then
sense.
this will be from the Selectmen.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, just read it. Looks good to me.
And I will, they sent out the email Thursday at 4 p.m. They gave me an extension till tomorrow to answer because I was on vacation.
Okay, awesome.
So quick turnaround time for this.
All right, great. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the letter of support for the grant for South Main Street Bridge.
Motion made?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes. All right, so now I'm going to kick it over to Selectman Lopes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Personnel Board, I got off easy today. A couple of these items will be removed. So for those listening in or watching us, over the past few months, we've been reviewing policies and procedures for the town of Freetown, modernizing them, making sure they're up to date as of 2023 standards. In this case, item agenda number 19, the anti-fraud policy, tobacco-free policy, drug-free policy, and number 20, fire apparatus policy, equal opportunity discrimination, sexual harassment policy, workplace harassment policy. We're going to be removing them from today's agenda into another agenda. We missed a critical step in the process of making sure everyone was on the same page. And this is just good housekeeping, and we'll just put it on to another next agenda. With that said, item agenda number 21, similar. We voted on this with Selectman Zager, but Selectman Matthews was not available. He had to go. Then this is a similar thing. I can't appoint myself. So we're going to once again kick this down the road to the next meeting and get this going. This is, of course, is for the Parade and Fireworks Committee. Which brings us to item agenda number 22. Discussion and vote on which selectmen represent the board on the Master Plan Committee and appoint said selectmen effective 3/20/2023 through 6/30/2023. So, Mr. Matthews, I believe you and I submitted a hello to Victoria, be on the board. I think it's great that you want to be on this as well. I think you're on the same page. Having the open plan for the open space committee in this, it puts our town in great positioning to receive grants and everything else. So, we could arm wrestle for if you want, rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, no, this is something that kind of like, I think is really important.
Yeah.
I'm pretty passionate about it. So, and also you've been stepping up to the plate and taking, putting yourself in a lot of these kind of different subcommittees and boards. So I figured I'd throw my hat in there and try to help out where I can.
I appreciate that, and I like the passion. I think you and I share that our town is moving forward, and we need to make sure it's moving forward in the proper direction.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Have at it.
Okay. So
That said, I entertain the motion to appoint. Oh my God.
But he can't appoint himself.
yeah, so maybe we'll
table
kick
this
this one
again.
to when Jared. All right.
Well, after the discussion, we will once again push this one to another meeting because, as the aforementioned number 21, we can't appoint each other or yourself. So that said, we'll add 21 and 22 to a future meeting. As far as boards, Parks Commission, nothing to really say other than thank you for this right here, Freetown 50. It just occurred this past weekend, and I wanted to make sure to let them know that everyone in Freetown, we do have things to do in Freetown. We just need to know what they are. So with the hiring of the new person for doing events, everything else, and increased public notices, I think this is going to be a great town to continue living in.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I have to get one of those shirts.
Yeah, let's get the Avengers tagline in the back. So Freetown 50, they used to be called something else. They used to be called
This is the mountain bike
the
race,
Big
right?
Bang.
The Big
Correct.
Bang, yeah. So
The Big Bang.
My dad and mom were they organized the Big Bang, or part of that group. That's for the fireworks. That's where they raise all the money for.
Yeah, they're going strong. They're saying they've rebranded about 10, 15 years now as the Freetown 50.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest mountain bike races.
Correct.
I didn't realize it was this early in the year.
Yeah. No, they had it, I think, last week or the weekend before. The weekend before.
It's known to be absolutely brutal. but that's great.
I want to say thank you to them.
All right, awesome. So, thank you, Selectman Lopes. And now, I think should we sign first? All right, so just so there's no confusion at home, we will be going to executive session. We will not be returning into open session. So I'm going to adjourn after executive session. We're going to sign all of our documents now on camera to avoid any open meeting law concerns there.
Bike race.
Yeah, when I saw the bike race on the agenda, I thought it was the same thing. I was quickly corrected.
Yeah, I used to race in the little
You
kid
have
version
quite
of
the media going on, don't we?
Big Bang bike race. 2 for me.
Payroll, yeah.
I like that TV in the back of the room.
Playing with some of the features on it I've watched. So you'll approve and then have him sign there. Approve Jared.
So that's him filming us. What's Zoom? Where's Zoom?
The Zoom's up there too.
Oh,
It's all
okay.
kind of together.
It zooms on the right,
We were trying
right-hand
to figure
corner.
out, that was from last meeting, trying to figure out how to get so that people could see the room too. So
Hmm.
that's what he's doing it.
Ah.
Yeah, so we're trying to figure that out. That's the letter of support. Let's just do the cover sheet for payroll.
All right. Thank you.
Nope, you don't need to. You're good.
Okay, so now we'll be going into executive session and not returning open session. We are going to executive session for the following reasons. Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, and I do. This is solar litigation. With that, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion made?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectman Lopes?
Yes.
Selectman Matthews?
Yes.